Hello and welcome to the Foxcatcher review show. My name's Julian Valance. Now, no Hutchie this week, so we go straight up to Sin City and bring in a man who's, well, he's repping some merch. Nick Ashman, how are you, my friend?
Yeah. Oh, I finally got it. I'm now actually a part of this Foxcatcher team, so it was nice of you to finally deliver. You gave me two of the same jumper, so that's pretty good for you. And you even gave me the extra large in case I have a few beers over the break. But anyway, that's another story. Racing at Caulfield on Saturday. Keen to get your thoughts on the way, not just the track play, but how Jockeys handled it as well.
Yeah.
Thought there was a couple of questionable marks, particularly in the PB Lawrence rides, I should say. Up here in Sydney, we had a really wet deck. Rosebud, Skyhook, who ran in the Golden Slipper, had some good figures going into it. He gets done in the Rosebud and announces himself as maybe a horse that can pick off a couple more of these races, as he's got a little bit of a fitness edge now over some of his more sort of high-profile 3-year-olds as they resume in the next couple of weeks in the run to the Rose.
Beautiful. There is heaps to get through. Let's kick off with the track intel from Caulfield, as you mentioned. Out 9 metres the entire circuit. Soft 7 upgraded to a soft 6 after race 3, Nico. Intel for me, look, there was no doubt it was on speed and advantage. Jockeys wanted to come off the rail, and we'll talk about that a little bit further as we go into this little segment. They obviously thought the inside was off, and I think your intel was outstanding on the Thursday that you said in terms of a lane positioning that I think, lanes 4+ might have been the spot to be. And it's as if they listened to that because that's how the jockeys wanted to ride. And, I think you've got some numbers in terms of where the winners came from, with the only outlier being Jimmy Ricard, who probably still was in lane maybe 3 or 2, but came up along the inside. So they wanted to be in those lanes, didn't they, that you mentioned on Thursday?
Yeah, what we sort of said was that if it stays dry, lanes 1 to 9 are in play. But if that rain comes and we get in sort of deep into that soft range, which is what happened, then those first 2 lanes, maybe first 3 lanes, will be just a little bit inferior. Look, that's exactly how it unfolded. 8 of the 9 winners were in lanes 3 to 9. And I think we had, just looking at some figures here, 8 of the 9 winners, 4 leaders won. So it was certainly a good day to be on top of the speed. Only 1 winner and 3 lengths off the lead at the 600-metre mark. And 8 of the 9 winners were in the first 6 at the 600-metre mark. So it was a tough day to make ground, but just want to point something out. I'm going to feel like a bit of a mad scientist saying this, Jules, but at Caulfield, having walked that track heaps when I was down living in Melbourne with yourself, well, not living with you, but, we butted heads a few times. I've got this theory that is, if you're a leader and you roll off and the other horses come wide with you, that they don't actually balance up and straighten up until about the 350 mark or until you're at the 350 mark. So I think leaders are really well served, other than days when it's fence on fire, which we have seen at Caulfield in the past. I think leaders, particularly when the fence is just a little bit inferior like they were on Saturday, I think they're really well suited to roll off that rail, take the field out with them. They straighten up and get going sooner. It's a bit like going breaststroke into freestyle in the individual medley. You get going quicker and they just ping, and all of a sudden, they're still a length and a half or 2 lengths clear at the 250-metre mark. And I think it's a really strong play. Just touching on those back markers sweeping around, they really don't straighten up properly and get in a straight line until about the 350-metre mark.
Yeah, it's actually a really good point, and I really enjoy that. So it might be something worth taking with us going forward, especially if we think inside lanes are going to be inferior. Whether inside lanes were inferior, I'm not too sure, because we just didn't see many horses actually try it. It just seemed like, hey, let's follow the leader. They obviously walked like they were inferior. That's the information you had. And so they just wanted to keep coming out and coming out. I also found that I know that it was an on-speed advantage. Clearly it was, and leaders won. But, geez, there's some farcical run times, I thought. I mean, Home Rule, we'll get to it really soon. I thought it really went out and actually made some running, but there's some reasons around that. But some other races were just pedestrian speed. And when that's going to happen and you're a pretty good horse, you're going to be hard to run down overall. So, yeah, I thought there's some jockeys there on Saturday that rode really poorly. And whether they were riding poor in the manner that they rode, was it because they were trying to protect their horses that might have been first up and going into the prep, and that's fine, whatever that might be. But we spoke about this last week in Fox Factors, that this is the time of the year where you've really got to be careful, because you've got your fit horses that might be able to take an advantage. They're not the class horses against these other ones that are resuming, and we just don't know where they're going to be first up. So I think it's probably another time that you can revisit that Fox Factor situation for this time of the year because it played out exactly like that. A lot of these horses were ridden conservatively to get deeper into the prep.
And Jules, just to support what you said, if you look at the stakes races, we had 2 Group 3s, a listed race and a Group 2. All of them will run at either a slow, really slow tempo or like an even sort of tempo. The only sort of 3 races that will run at a speed that was above average on the stuff that I'm using was races 1, 2 and 4, which were the benchmark 74s and the benchmark 84s, where we had hard fit horses who probably were really out there to try and win what might be their last run of a preparation. So that just supports your theory. It supports what we spoke about in Fox Factors on Thursday, which is in the carnivals. It's all about identifying intent, what horses have got coming up, and how much they're going to use themselves up in this first up run.
Okay, so that's the track intel, and there's a bit in it there, punters. Let's get to the hen house here, Nico, because there's a few races I want to identify. I haven't got everything and too much going through the roof here at Caulfield. It was just a bit of a plain day overall. But I think there's plenty of horses that we want to be with going forward for whatever reasons. But we're going to start with race 4 for me, and this is one of those races you identified that actually went out fast with some intent, and there's some purpose behind this race. So the winner was Home Rule. They've gone 1.5 seconds inside standard time. Now, the last 400, 200 is clearly one of the softest of the day, and that's understandable, benchmark racing, and with how fast they've gone out. But let's look at Home Rule as an overall horse and what it was in terms of its prep. This was its 8th run in the prep here, Nico. Clearly a fit horse. So what are you going to do when you're the fit horse compared to maybe a couple other horses, like a horse like Kappa 39, who was still early in its prep, it only had the one run. It ended up sitting outside it, and it sort of blew up Kappa 39 at the 200. Home Rule was just hard, fit. That's how to ride a horse like that this time of the year. I think Kappa 39, which I was on it, sat outside and you look at it and go, I was disappointed it was there to win. It just wasn't hard fit enough to be able to absorb that early pressure. I think if they go really slow, Kappa 39 probably goes past it. So outstanding ride for Home Rule. I like the race going forward. As much as I've done my dough on Kappa 39 on Saturday, I probably think now third up, it launches from this now and could be something you could follow with a bit of confidence. But I thought this race does go into the hen house just from an overall factor that it went out so fast. Yes, they were soft late, but an outstanding ride, knowing the attributes of your horse and the weaknesses of your rivals.
And Jules, supporting what you said about jockeys maybe not needing to get so far off the fence, here we had a fast run race, as you and I have been discussing now for almost a decade through various shows, that fast run races, you want to save ground. Home Rule saved ground, was in lane 3, didn't need to get right off the fence. Nothing wrong with the inside as long as there was good tempo on. It was worth saving ground.
Absolutely. Let's get to another race that we can probably put in the hen house. Hasn't rated enormous, but just want to identify it because it was a listed race. It was the Regal Roll. It was won by Popper Ward. Just about bang on standard time. Last 400, 200, pretty good. 23.68, 12.02. There's a race that's gone better, but the winner, Popper Ward's come home 11.85. And look, we spoke about this horse in the preview, and I was sort of really critical of the race that they decided to run in. This race, this horse was rated 77, so it actually ran off a rating of 97. So we're filming this right now, Nico, and its new rating hasn't been put in for domestic yet, so we don't know what it is. But what I will say is, for the people that are wondering, and by the time this comes out, it'll obviously have its rating, so it's probably moot, that it's ran off 97, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's gone to 100. So people will say 77 to 100, crazy. Well, it was on the minimum. It's ran off a rating of 97. It's now got the black type, what they wanted. So they've done exactly what they wanted. I just thought they could have done it a different way, but they're smarter than me. She's a fantastic mare, and she's got a great will to win. She was too good.
Yeah, I can't sum it up any better than that. She had the right ratings. We spoke about this on Thursday. She's got the ratings to win this race. You just would have thought, hey, go through the benchmark 84, benchmark 90s, etc., and then get to your listed race. But to offset that, Julesy, you know, she's got residual value. She's a mare, same as the Colt. So I don't think we can hold it against them. They've got that listed victory on the board, and they'll probably look for something more lofty now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they'll have to now with that rating of 100, I would suggest, where they sort of somewhere end up. But as you said, they've got that black type, so they will be happy. The other race I want to look at is obviously the PB Lawrence race 8. The winner was Private Eye. A third of a second outside standard time, but they've come home enormous compared to the rest of the day, and understandably so. These are proper, well, in particular, the winner is a proper Group 1 horse, 22.76, 11.54. Look, we're going to talk about this a little bit later in setting fire to it, but just very quickly, 9 of the 10 horses were first up. Between 133 and 177 days was their time off. And there was 2 horses that were off 63 days, Nico. They've ran 1, 2, Private Eye and Desert Lightning. And I thought the way this race was ran for horses to protect whatever they want to do later in the prep and for other horses that actually had intent and wanted to go out there and win this race.
And that's the thing, we spoke about it on Thursday. They were both off 63 days. It meant that they could probably be used up a little bit to take up a forward position. Private Eye, he's not really a noted leader, but he just went forward and took control of the race with that residual fitness. And then when they sort of didn't pressure him, it was just happy days. I mean, this is a bloke that is placed in the Everest on 2 occasions. So you can't give him a head start on a really slow tempo and let him bolt away from you. Last 200 metres, almost 5 lengths above standard. You're not going to catch him from there. Query is for him, what does Nash do? He got suspended. Can he get his dates altered? We'll find out. He's probably going to go to the Memsie in a couple of weeks' time. I can tell you that the team are considering maybe coming up to the tramway just to give him 3 weeks between runs because Joe Pride doesn't like leaving his horses in Melbourne. So he's back on the float back up to Sydney, so he'll have to travel back down there for the Memsie. So if you are playing in those futures markets, he's probably an 80% chance of going to the Memsie. It's just a small chance that he might stay in Sydney and wait an extra week and go to the tramway.
That's really good intel for the punters, knowing that Joe Pride doesn't like to keep his horses in Melbourne. I don't think a lot of people would know that, so that's really good info, Nico. So that's an interesting one, especially if you want to play into that space of the futures, whether it be the Memsie or whatever else it is. Because if, just for example, he went to the Memsie, then people go, well, he should go to the Mackay as well. That means he'd have to go back again and then back again, and then all of a sudden it becomes a bit of an arduous campaign. So just keep that in the back of your mind, viewers. I think that's really good intel. That was the Hen House this week. For every hen house, there has to be a dog house, Nico. I sort of, as I said, I didn't have the day as going big highs and really low lows at all. But race 9 for me, and this horse I sort of put in the doghouse the last race it was as well. Al Rocco. Look, a second outside standard time. The last 400, 200, they don't even break 12.5 the last 200. Just going forward from a market perspective, I just don't think the market wants to be with this race at all. I just thought it was really, really plain. So you might have a different opinion on that, but I'd be worried about it from a market perspective. Hard fit horse. We know it's a great wet tracker. Al Rocco was able to control the speed. And to be honest, that's sort of where it landed.
Yeah, it was similar sort of ride to Private Eye in the previous race, wasn't it? Got to the front, didn't have to overexert, got away with a slow tempo, skipped away from about the 500-metre mark, rolled away from the inside part of the track. Most of the chasers tried to come wider. By the time they balanced up and were in a straight line to let down, he was just off and gone. He was too good for him. So smart ride, but don't want to follow the race.
Yeah, beautiful. So as you said, when we put our races in the doghouse, it's more from what we think the market or what we're going to probably do next start with this these horses around it. And there might be some different form lines that you should be looking at. That was the doghouse this week. All right, Nico, let's get to the hits and misses from the PointsBet trading floor. So we look at this from a perspective of, okay, well, this horse was backed on Saturday. Do we want to continue to be with this horse going through the prep? Or was it just a couple of factors why the market trended towards it or gravitated towards it? So race 2, Skipper's Canyon, $4.40 into $2.90. It misses at run second, but it just got into a really awkward spot for me. It was sort of 1,400 to 1,800, not ideal, but I think it was looking for 1,800. There was no issue there. But just in terms of where it was, probably compared to Mac Dane in position in run, just caused it to be just a bit of a train wreck, to be honest. But I'd keep following it. I don't think you can drop off Skipper's Canyon. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he was 6 lengths off them at the 600-metre mark. The furthest back any winner was on the day was about 3.5 lengths. So he's a good 2 to 3 lengths further back than where the closest or the furthest back winner all day was. I know I'm explaining that terribly, but basically he was too far back.
Yeah. Race 3, Gala Queen. This just looks like my betting sheet, to be honest. Skipper's Canyon, Gala Queen. $4 into $2.
I was just thinking that.
$4 into $2.55. Misses unplaced. Look, 1,100 to 1,400, and again, we speak about that it's probably not an ideal thing, but it didn't stop me. It didn't stop the punters being with this horse. I thought it was plain. I mean, Blake Shin went on. I know you can say that maybe it got into an awkward spot, but again, I thought it had every possible chance. I thought it was disappointing.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you. I mean, in terms of its last 200 metres, it ranked sixth for the race. So it did a pretty sharp split between the 1,000 and the 800 metres, but I just thought it gave nothing compared to what we expect. Maybe it's better back towards that 1,200 metre trip. Maybe that's why it gassed out late.
Yeah, I think 11 to 14 might have just concerned it a little bit. So maybe they stay at 14, and I think you'll see an improved performance. But you're going to be at a premium price range, so you just got to be careful with it. Race 4, Castle on High, was $12 into $5.50. It was a fit horse. I think it had put 2 wins in a row together, so I can understand why the market wanted to be with that horse. I don't know if I'd want to be with it going forward. It's ran well, but it's deep into the prep compared to a few of these other horses that were sort of early on in their prep, and it was a fast run race. Obviously, it was spoken about because it went into the hen house with home rule. Race 5, it was the Vane Stakes. Jimmy Ricard, they really wanted this horse, $6 into $3.40. Pretty impressive, to be honest. The last 400, 200 was pretty good. Yeah, got that saloon passage, but it still needed to put him away, and it looks like a horse that really wants to get through the line. So there's some positive signs there for Jimmy Ricard, I think, Nico.
Yeah, 100%. Race rated well, didn't it? There's no knock there. I think probably the first 3 across the line are 3 horses you can follow. Even the third one, which I'll touch on in a moment's time, it's eligible for his 0 races.
Race 6, Signature Scent, $4 into $2.75, misses, runs unplaced. It probably had the fitness edge over horses like the Scenic Point, etc. I'm a little bit worried about it going forward on the fact that I think it was backed because it did have the fitness advantage. Race 7, Arkansas Kid, $7.50 into $3.10. Misses here, look, runs second, won this race last year, was the class horse. I can understand why they gravitated towards this. This was a race that we spoke about in the preview, that there were sort of 3 horses that are above the minimum that were really well weighted in terms of ratings, and all the others had to come up, even though we thought they had plenty of ability. So I can see why the market went towards Arkansas Kid. And in race 9, Too Darn Discreet, which was third up, was $8 into $4.40. It misses. I don't know how it did miss. If those people on Too Darn Discreet, geez, you'd be sick, because you looked at it probably that it had won the race. She's going pretty good, Too Darn Discreet. So, look, they find her and place her in the right sort of kind of mares races. She won't be far away. That was the hits and misses this week. Righto, Nico, let's get to the segment of setting fire to it. So we just identify where, the punters just torch their money for one reason or another, and it has many, many variables.
There's plenty of reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. And this one probably comes down to, which we spoke about, Fox factors earlier, in the preview show, and many times we've spoken about this, is just intent is so important. And we'll run this race now over the 1,400 metres. And we spoke about this a little bit earlier because we spoke about this race in the hen house. But 9 of the 10 were first up, and you can see as they jump out of the gates, 9 of the 10 are first up. Now, most of these are off either 133 days to 177 days. That's the length they were off. There was 2 horses off 63 days, Private Eye and Desert Lightning. You can see Private Eye just controlling this race with intent going forward. I spoke on the preview race that the hard fit horse was Yellow Sam, who, for all intents and purposes, was going to roll forward and be really, really aggressive. Now, it slightly misses the start, which we would have seen, but then it decides to just be ridden cute and just take the 1-1. And it was just the wrong play for that kind of situation for that horse. That horse needed to be ridden really ugly. So even when it settles at the 1-1, from my perspective, if you've got the hard fit horse and you lack class, what do you need to do? You need to make it a fast run race, take the better horses out of their comfort zone. I think that horse should have then just zipped around them and actually just made it a true hard 1,400 metre race for it to have any possible hope. It may not have changed the result whatsoever, but you're not going to change the result anyway by sitting where you were on a fit horse that doesn't have the class. You're just not going to get anywhere near it. So, and I thought a lot of these other horses were ridden really conservatively. They just handed it to Private Eye, and that's taking nothing away from Private Eye. He is a proper Group 1 horse, but if you allow him to have the intent and you not to have the intent, well, you're going to know your fate.
Yeah. I mean, mate, they went through the first 800 metres of this race about 13 lengths below standard. And as we said before, you've got a dual Everest place, get one of the better sort of evergreen sprinters in the country just out in front ambling along at nothing more than a rousing track gallop. He was just really never going to lose from there. I thought, on top of what you mentioned about Yellow Sam, I thought Moira, I sort of warmed towards Moira as race day came around, but she was quite negative. You could actually see Damien Lane sort of almost coming back on her straight out of the barriers. She went back towards the tail of the field. She had the best last 600 metres of the race. Yes, Anisette had a better last 200 metres, but probably Moira had spent a few pennies. She was also down a bit closer to the fence. She was in lane 3. Anisette was out in lane 9. The inferior ground was definitely towards the inside part of the track, and that's where Moira was. So for me, the horse to follow out of the race is Moira. I think that what they're looking to do is target her for the Memsie. She's here to win a Group 1. She's from the US. She's obviously Yulong purchase. I think the Memsie, I think they'll have her pretty good and ready to rock and roll for the Memsie and maybe even the Mackay Diva Stakes.
All right, beautiful. So that was setting fire to it. As we talk about a lot, especially this time of the year, intent is key. All right, let's get to In the Fox's Den here, Nico. So some horses that we want to identify, maybe from the meeting on Saturday. You've got a couple, and then I'll go through a few of mine, and obviously maybe some throughout Victoria as well. Let's zip through these. You've got 2 to start with.
Yeah, I'm going to start with in the Vane Stakes. Now, Jimmy Ricard was spoken about him. He ran well. We know Tycoon Star, the runner-up, is a really promising galloper, ran in some pretty handy 2-year races and performed well, including the Blue Diamond. I thought the third place getter, Express Class, was coming here off the back of one win at Sandown on the hillside track. Got a long way back in running, had to make his run right out in lane 11. No winner came all day out there. What was he? I think at the 600-metre mark, this bloke was maybe 2 or 3, 4 lengths off them. At the 400-metre mark, he'd lost a bit of ground. He rallied again late. He was really good through the line for mine, Express Class. Don't know what the Maloney camp does with him going forward if they keep attacking these stakes races, but certainly if he goes back to something a little easier, he'll be really hard to beat there. He's one to follow for sure. And just earlier in the day in race 1, I know that I'm sort of suggesting we follow a horse that probably goes to benchmark racing, but Flyer for Jason Warren, I thought she was outstanding. She ran in that Epic Proportions race, the opening event. Overall time was almost a second inside standard time. She got a long way back. She settled 9th in the run. She was more than 4 lengths off the leader at the 600-metre mark. No winner came from there all day. Her late splits was sensational from the 600 metres to the post, inside standard time every way. And she was also inside standard time when she got to the 600-metre mark. Overall time slick. That was her first up run since May. She was placed in a Group 3 race against the girls over in Adelaide behind Cleo Cat is one of ours on the show. I think she's probably got a stakes placing if she can get it right this preparation. I think she might have come back in career best form. This is the best fresh run that she's posted of her career, and I reckon you might get a price about her next time she goes round, particularly if she goes to a harder race. I'd love to see her in a benchmark 84, benchmark 90, down in weight, that type of thing, against her own sex. Boy, oh boy, I reckon we'll get double figures, and she'll be one of mine for sure.
Beautiful. Okay, I'll quickly zip through mine. Ganasho just wasn't suited first up. Get it to 1,400 metres, 1,600 metres, better with it. Custom, I thought, didn't have much luck. Got a good number for it on the round with Kenzo. Golden Path off 147 days, just got gassed out. Be with it. I'm backed it in the Caulfield Cup at 100 to 1. Trapdoor, it's a horse that ran off Broadway in Geelong. It can win a Caulfield Guineas. Deep Pleasure was at the same meeting at Geelong. Be with it. Silver Magnate at Sandown was outstanding. Be with it. G Beg. And Silver and Anisette backed it in every mare's race in the futures. I think she can win a big race. That's In the Fox's Den this week, punters. Righto, Nico, been outstanding with the Caulfield review. Let's quickly zip up to New South Wales and let's just look at the intel for how Rose Hill played, because it was out 1 metre the entire circuit. The track was a heavy 9, upgraded to a heavy 8 after race 3. Where did we need to be with lanes?
Yeah, all the winners in lanes 4+, so the track intel was spot on Thursday. 7 of the 10 winners were in lanes 6 to 9. 2 leaders won, so it wasn't impossible to lead. And 5 of the 10 winners, Julesy, were 3 lengths or more off the pace at the 600-metre mark.
Beautiful. Okay, so let's get to the hen house, mate. A race you want to identify that you think we want to be with or the market might gravitate towards going forward. And I think you've identified the Rosebud.
Yeah, I just thought Skyhook did a bit here. Look, his pedigree doesn't suggest he's going to be a wet tracker. And I thought he did enough to suggest that he might be an improver on top of the ground. I want to follow him. I liked what we saw from him in the autumn. Don't worry about the Golden Slipper. It was a bit of an end of prep run in his first preparation. He's come back in reasonably good form. He hasn't completely smashed the clock, but his last 800 and 600 was the best of the day. Good enough for mine. He blew up a little bit inside the last 200 metres. Maybe the wet track. Maybe he's got improvement to come. He's a horse I think you can follow going forward into maybe the run to the Rose. He'll catch them maybe sort of one run ahead in terms of fitness. So I think he's one we can definitely follow.
I like that going forward. Hen House, that horse coming out of the Rosebud. Doghouse, what race is the one we're just a little bit worried about that we might be looking for different form line?
Yeah, race 10 here, Cloudland. They were out slow, home slow, junk race. I'll leave that to someone else.
Let's get to the hits and misses really quickly. Graphic comes up. Is there anything out of that list of 6 that I've identified that the market wanted to be with in particular?
Yeah, I just want to touch on War Eternal. I mean, he heavily backed because I think the main dangers to him in that race, which I thought was Birdman, was going to go back. Birdman gave him a real run for his money. I'll touch on him in a moment's time. But War Eternal got the right map, got the softer run got the head start on a softish tempo. That's why the market gravitated towards him. I'll back something else to beat him next time they go round.
Beautiful. That's the hits and misses from the PointsBet trading floor for Rose Hill. Let's get to In the Fox's Den, and you've identified 2 horses that we want to be with going forward here, mate.
Yeah, Our Gold Hope resumed in race 7, which was the War Eternal race. Now, they went through the first, 800 metres of that race, about 6 lengths or 5 lengths below standard. That's why it suited War Eternal. Our Gold Hope was one of 2 horses, him and Birdman, that had the ratings to match War Eternal. I think Our Gold Hope was just fantastic. Best last 200 metres of the race, and it ranked 8th for the day. Keep an eye on him going forward as well. The other horse is Birdman in the same race. I just think he's a wet tracker. I think he's really good. He's yet to win on top of the ground, and most of his racing in Australia has been on dry tracks. He's only once had a soft run in Australia that was in a soft 5, and that was his highest rating on my database. He almost got the job done first up at 1,400 metres. This is a 1.5 mile horse. So just keep an eye out on him for wet decks going forward. He might get a few more in Sydney. It's been raining the whole bloody time.
Beautiful. Outstanding, mate. And we look towards this Saturday. Via Sistina's back in the Wing Stakes.
Cheers. But hey, little birdie told me Timmy Clark might be riding Mr. Brightside, ducking up this neck of the woods on the Hume Highway for the Wing Stakes. He'll have the map advantage over her. If you're playing in those futures markets, just keep that in mind. I'd be having a little tickle on Mr. B.
Ciao, mate.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.